the employment law changes. I'm here on the Employment Rights Act 2025, and I just want to talk about the different changes and what it means for um, people on a day-to-day basis. I think I need to turn on the light or open the curtain. One moment. Okay. Okay, so I am doing a video today on the employment law changes, um, and what it means for people on a day-to-day basis. Let me put the light on. Okay, so good afternoon. I hope you're all enjoying your bank holiday weekend if you're in England. I'd like to talk about the changes to the Employment Rights Act for this year. Um, the first change is that sick pay will be available from the first day of employment. Previously, people that maybe had a new job or something weren't able to get sick pay because they hadn't worked at the place of employment for long enough. There would be a qualifying period, but now you can get sick pay from the first day. So that's the first change, and the sick pay is called statutory sick pay, SSP, which is now available from the first day of absence. The second change is family leave and day one rights. That would mean that paternity leave or unpaid parental leave is available from the first day of employment, removing a qualifying period. So previously, you would have had to have worked from um, like I think maybe 6 months or so, or you would need to be a permanent worker. But now you can get family leave, day one rights, unpaid family leave from the very start. So that's another welcome change. Bereaved parents, like bereaved people who have recently been bereaved of their partner, can have up to 52 weeks leave, where their partner is the primary adopter or mother of a child that dies within the first year, um, which is a really important change for people who have been bereaved of their children. Um, so that's an excellent change. Another change is whistleblowing and harassment, making sexual harassment reporting now falls under the whistleblowing protection. So that's another welcome change because lots of people, due to retaliation or not wanting to be involved or potential repercussions, will not speak up for people who are being sexually harassed. And so that's another welcome change in the workplace. Redundancy protection. So for people being made redundant, um, they are now protected um, if there's a failure to consult on collective redundancies. And apparently now the payout has been doubled. So that's really good. And Fair Work Agency, which will be an organisation to monitor a new enforcement body will be introduced to oversee compliance with all these rights. I believe that the Employment Tribunal is under heavy strain at the moment, and ultimately, but as it says, can oversee compliance, holiday pay records. So now employers must retain employers with staff of more than 215 and due to that stigma it just makes it very and due to that stigma it just makes it very challenging and difficult for people to continue working of anybody that may feel disenfranchised or may feel um, voiceless, how much compliance there will be. And my observation is part of the barrier is employees themselves don't know what the changes are. So more for the first 2026, the tribunal limits. As some of you may know, there's usually a cap, and so that's good news, especially in line with the so that's good news, especially in line with the cost of living crisis duty. Last one is yeah, so that's it really. Some of you may know I was very restricted in I was very restricted to the tribunal. If I had brought my case forward under these new changes, it would have been a lot easier. I always viewed myself as an employee. Always. I always viewed myself as an employee. But previously, there were different classifications of so previously, not everybody would be an employee. There were different classifications according to, your tax position or what have you. And and so I wasn't successful in a couple of the claims due to my employment position. But now the law's been updated, people will be able to take things forward regardless of how long they've worked for their employer and everything else. But I'm glad to see that we're moving forward in our society in making these changes. Um, yeah. Especially in regards to the bereavement, like in regards to miscarriage and stuff. I'm glad that there have been changes so that people can feel supported in the event that, this doesn't impact them at work. Hello, Ahmed Hasrati 7430. Hello, how are you? Hope you're doing well. But yeah, so that's it really. I'm glad that there have been changes, because I personally feel like a lot of employees were just taking things too far and clearly doing things that they knew, were unethical. And, but there was no actual law in place to prevent them from doing those things. There were so many loopholes. So I'm glad that there's been a employment Employment Rights Act to get us up to date. But yeah, so I'm not sure if any of you are children, if you're adults, if you work, if you don't work. But yeah, let me know what your experiences are. And also, please like the live. I'd really appreciate that if you could like the live. And yeah, that's it really. Um, I think on the ground, it's going to make a huge difference. I think before there was an imbalance between the employer and the employee, and I think these steps go some way to balance it out. So I'm happy with them. You know, it's a shame they didn't come earlier, but I'm definitely happier with them. Um, does anybody have any questions at all? That's all I've got actually in regards to the Employment Rights Act. But if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And please remember to like the live. That would be very much appreciated. I think there will probably be some court cases. I think there probably will be some tribunal cases where they will push back on these things. So I don't think, you know, there'll definitely be some pushback. I think there'll probably be some amendments on these new updates. But, for now, we'll just see if workers are a lot more protected than we have been previously. But yeah. Has anybody been watching the football? I think we had a is it champion? Yeah, I think we're having the Champions League. I think, but yeah, has anyone been keeping up with the football? I'm so tired. If anyone has any questions, please keep it respectful. You can put it in the chat. I think it's about time that changes were made. I think, especially in the cost of living crisis, and especially, you know, where financially things are so difficult for people, I think it's really easy for people to be exploited at work. And obviously, because nobody wants to lose their job, people often don't speak up because they don't want to jeopardize losing their financial strength. And yeah, so that's it really. Mm. Also, I understand that the laws are different in different countries, and there's different work culture everywhere. I think in America, obviously, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe there are many unions in America for workers. Um, it sounds like people usually have more than one job. Um, I'm not sure what the situation is with the pension out there, but yeah, it's just really, due to this cost of living crisis, there's a lot going on, and people just become more vulnerable. And not to say people aren't making money, there are people that are actually profiting off the misfortune of others. So people are making money, but ultimately, in time of recession, in time of financial crisis, it's usually those that are already on the poverty line that get pushed over the line and usually bear the brunt of any financial turbulence because they're already on the borderline, so they're about to drop off. So you know, it's good timing. I would say it's good timing for the Employment Rights Act, but yeah, it's tough times for people. People are really struggling. It's not easy, and hopefully things get better. But the best thing that I will say, if you are based in the UK, make sure you register with a union. I'll say that's really important to register with a union. Some people don't like paying the monthly fee. However, sometimes you just need to invest in yourself and just see it as insurance because you do not know when you will need the assistance of a union member. You can't actually predict if you will ever need them. And yeah, it's a form of insurance, just pay out and when you do need them. Obviously, some unions aren't as good as others, so you need to look around, shop around, and decide where you want to go, or just go by recommendation. Ask people which union they're with and what they think of the union that they are with, and join that way. But yeah, things are really difficult, and yeah, hopefully this does make a difference to a lot of people, and they should somehow find their way back. Thank you for liking the live. We really appreciate it. That's really good. I think in some countries, like in the Nordic countries like Denmark and Sweden, and I think they have very good working practices. I think, is it Norway or Denmark or Sweden? I think one of the countries, the government actually pays their citizens so that everyone's got a starting point of savings. So I think in the Nordic countries, they're very good when it comes to work-life balance and adjusting the environment for their employees. I believe it's very good in those countries. But there's other countries where we're still struggling. We're still struggling to, you know, please both employee and employer. Sometimes it's a bit of a balancing act. But so far so good. We have our local elections next week. So if you haven't registered to vote and you're based in the UK and you are eligible to vote, make sure you do that. Also remember that if you are part of the Commonwealth, you can vote in elections. So please be mindful of that. Don't miss out on the opportunity. And that's all really. Yeah, that's it. Um, yeah, that's it. But if you do want more information, just go online. You can go to gov.uk, and if you look up the Renters' Rights Act 2025, you'll be able to read through all the information. They've also got a section with the summary, so you can just go onto gov.uk, go online, and just read the basic summary. But yeah, so we'll be working with new practices. Thank you so much for joining the live. I really appreciate it. And um, let me know if you have any questions at all. Contact you with any queries. However, if you do need support at work, definitely join the union or approach Citizens Advice Bureau.